the concept.
Oh, what was
The concept goes back a bit earlier. The concept is that in a film narrative, you often have, well, obviously you have a conflict. Conflict is the basis of stories. And very often you will have your protagonist who is in search of something, who has a need for something. Or you'll have multiple characters who are trying to get something and the conflict arises over that. You can state what that thing that they're after is, the MacGuffin. And the reason it's said that is because you can say what it is, or you can leave it up, you can leave it vague. It's not relevant to the story what it is, except...
It's just there to fill in, like, something.
Yeah, it's there. It is something of value that people want. In that sense, because it is something that is born out of
film.
Traditional narrative, not just film, but traditional narrative, Hollywood-style film structure. It comes out of conventional storytelling. The Maltese Falcon.
Okay.
You're familiar with that?
Yeah.
The Maltese Falcon is a MacGuffin.
What's Maltese Falcon?
The story is that Sam Spade, the detective, is hired by a client to find a statue of a black bird.
Like the whodunit sort of
exactly
strategy.
So he's in this on the search.
He's searching for the black bird.
The black bird is the MacGuffin.
Exactly, and they do mention that it's something. They give it a bit of a backstory to it about it being a statue that was commissioned in the Middle Ages, made of gold and encrusted with jewels, then covered with black paint to conceal its value. But he is still searching for it. He also encounters criminals who are also trying to get their hands on it.
Okay.
And the reason we say it's a MacGuffin is because it doesn't matter what it really is.
Yeah.
The backstory doesn't affect the exactly.
It's just like the Pulp Fiction suitcase, the briefcase.
Exactly. The Pulp Fiction's briefcase is also a MacGuffin. I think I mentioned that to you the other day. That is probably the best example, because in that you don't even know what's in there. All you know is that it is prized.
Is it in film terms, so that they need to have an object that's easier to represent rather than having something more of a metaphysical form?
In that sense, yeah. Because you're dealing with a structured narrative, so it is generally an object.
Yeah.
You're working conceptually with it, and you have the opportunity, I think, and the freedom to explore that more.
Because I think what we're doing sort of gives us the license to expand it, but
yeah, exactly.
We don't want to, be too adventurous. In the end, it's really creating a different meaning for MacGuffin, because,
Well, you always have that when you're dealing artistically. And even within the bounds of conventional narrative, you always ask those questions. Because you want to be creative. At the same time, you need the audience to understand what you're trying to put across. And if your concept isn't, and we're always trying to find that balance, because you don't want to spoon feed things to people. It's not interesting, it's not compelling. Yeah. At the same time, you don't want to lose them. So you're always looking, I think, on both sides, whether you're working in a more abstract, conceptual form, or if you're working in a narrative form. But the principle that I think you're looking for behind the MacGuffin is that it is the desire or the need. That's the focus that you really need to think about. And it's a very raw desire or need, because conventionally we always think of either of those as being for something very specific. I have a need for food, I have a need for love, I have a need for attention. And in a way, any of these can be the MacGuffin. It's just that it's not the target that matters, because a need for food, a physical hunger, is not the same as an emotional need. And in this case, you're not really dealing with a MacGuffin, because you're dealing with the object of the need. I think what would be very helpful for you if you're trying to explore this is to broaden out those need and want concepts out into the raw, abstract, emotional content, and look to express that. And I think that because you're working in a fine art form, you have a really good opportunity to directly, clearly express those pure emotions.
All right.